Hello and welcome back to my channel. It is lovely to see you back here. If you like this video, please don't forget to give it a like, comment and subscribe. It would be great to see your thoughts and messages. So for today's video, I wanted to show you how I've done this set and also talk about cuticles and nail prep. So let's get straight into it. So before I even considered doing any infill whatsoever, I need to get rid of all that gel polish that was on from my New Year set. I absolutely love this set, but now that we are at the time where an infill is needed, I figured that a new set was absolutely necessary. So here I am taking my 180 sanding band with my e-file set at about 4,000 to 5,000 RPM. I am literally just removing all that gel polish. What I am also doing is going around the top of the acrylic and making sure I'm removing any lifted products. This essentially just means that when you come to do your new infill, you will not be creating that lifting straight away, and you will also be stopping any bacteria from growing in those little lifted sockets. When filing the acrylic, I'm making sure that I'm constantly moving. If you stay still for too long, you will cause a heat spike to your nail or your client's nails. And trust me, when I say it hurts, it hurts. So when filing away the lifted acrylic, you need to make sure you're not filing down the natural nail. You will be doing this later on in the prep, so you don't want to overdo it now. But you also don't want to remove too many layers of your natural nail, as this will lead to infections and, even worse, potentially the loss of your nail. So grabbing my duster brush, I'm removing the dust off my nails and hands. So now we're going to focus on the cuticle prep, and with doing cuticles we need to change out that sanding band for a cuticle nail drill bit. When doing any forms of infills, new sets or anything that involves a rebuild of an artificial nail, you must do cuticle prep. However, there is a lot of stigma around what is the correct way to do your cuticles, and a lot of nail techs are actually doing your preparation wrong, or they're not informing you correctly. So using the end of the drill bit, I am pointing out what's called the cuticle. This is a sticky layer that grows out with the natural nail. This is all dead skin and is the only part of the cuticle. This part is called the epinicium or nail fold. The epinicium lies underneath the nail fold, and hence the title, the nail folds. It literally folds back on itself and creates a seal on the natural nail, which prevents any infections. This part is skin, and when you cut skin, it protects itself by forming a scar. And if cut constantly, it will come back thicker. The more times you cut the nail fold, the more you are scarring the skin and conducting an unnecessary treatment, which with a lot of insurance companies, it is not covered and it is classed as an invasive treatment. You should only have your nail folds cut when it's absolutely necessary and on a one-off occasion. Yes, you can get little nail spikes off the nail plate, which is perfectly safe and okay to remove using cuticle clippers, but the actual nail fold should be left alone as much as possible. Last but not least, when using cuticle clippers, you or your nail technician should not be pulling away as they have clipped the skin. If it's pulled, the skin will tear and subsequently result in, again, a breaking in the skin. So how I do my nails is making sure the nail drill bit is in reverse, so I lightly go around the nail plate pushing the cuticle up and away from the nail. This technique allows the nail fold or epinicium to lift, and it means you can get underneath and clear the cuticle that is behind that fold. You want to make sure you're not going too deep, as this will cause damage to other critical parts of the nail and can cause infections, or it can actually affect the shape of the nail and damage it. It is vital that you do not press hard whatsoever. Again, this will change the shape of your nail, as any part of your nail close to the skin is a lot softer and not fully keratinized yet. So grabbing my nail brush again, I am clearing off all the dust. This just helps to clear everything so that you can see if there's anything else that needs to be removed. And as you can see by this clip, you can see that all the cuticle has removed and you can't see anything from the naked eye, which is the sort of effect that you're going for. I'm changing my drill bit to assist with removing all the lifting around my nails. This bit is soft enough that it won't damage the nail fold. And I know what I said before about obviously paying attention to your nail fold. You'd want to stay away from it as much as possible, but if you have small bits of skin that are lifting off, then you can remove these using a nail drill bit like this. Again, I'm not pressing very hard, because if you do, you will affect the natural nail even though you are kind of touching on your skin. So like I said, I'm just going to go around really quick and just clear off any skin spikes and just, yeah, go with it really. So now that the tuft spikes have been removed, I can now focus on removing the shine from the natural nail. I personally like to use a 180 grit sanding band on about 3000 RPM and no higher than that. The purpose of this is so that the acrylic adheres to the natural nail. It also removes any lifted parts or remaining cuticles I've missed during the initial prep. And so once that's done, I can use my nail cleaner and brush to get into the small corners of my nails and remove all the dust again. And then all that's left then is to apply a dehydrator and primer before the actual acrylic application. So there we are. As I said before, I'm just going to wipe all the dust away with my brush and cleaner, and hopefully that should get rid of all remaining little bits of dust on my nails. So now I'm just going to get everything ready to start doing the enhancements. So I'm just going to pour my Nails Max Adhesion monomer into my little pot. A little pro tip is let the monomer run down your brush and you won't spill it everywhere. I do it every single time and it just, I don't know how it works, but it just works really well. So I'm going in with my Nails dehydrator and primer. With the primer, you don't want to get close to the skin because natural oils will then swamp the natural nail. You don't want this to happen because when you start putting on your application and eventually down the line, the application won't actually stick to the natural nail. So it's all because of the oils that then seep into that liquid that goes onto your nail. So just avoid it as best as you can. And finally, we are ready for the actual application itself. So I am taking Barely There. This was the colour that I used on my nails initially, so rather than starting with a new colour, I will use the same again. So what I'm doing is making sure that I have enough monomer on my brush, and with a couple of dabs into the acrylic, I will hold the brush then for a couple of seconds before actually applying it to my nail. I can't exactly remember why you do this. I think it just helps because it's not such a runny bead. I always find that with my first application, especially like with my thumbs, it is the hardest. So this one didn't work out so well, but we do get there eventually. So you'll have to bear with my thumb. I don't know why, but I just can never do my thumb as well as I can all my other nails. But to be honest, I don't know why, but they always end up sticking on the longest. So who knows what I'm doing. So all it means is that when I come to filing, I just need to pay a little bit more attention to my thumb, obviously just to make sure that it's all leveled out and everything like that. So it does get better from here, and essentially I'm going in again with the same technique of grabbing another bead, and what I'm doing with this bead is I'm placing it a little further down on my nail and pushing it up towards the nail fold, and making sure that you're not touching any part of skin. Obviously that's the last thing that you want is for any of your acrylic application to touch on your skin. It does adhere to it and it does actually become quite painful, but also what it can cause is a skin reaction, or actually it could eventually cause a reaction where you can no longer have acrylics at all. So basically what I'm doing is making sure that once I've put my bead onto my nail, I leave it to set for a couple of seconds, no longer, and then working from either left to right or right to left, you are then blending that bead in with the existing acrylic. Don't do it from the middle, because you do it from the middle and you're going to push all the acrylic out to the side, and it will take you a lot more to reshape it and make sure that your apex is there. So always remember left to right or right to left. Do not do it any other way unless it actually really works and the apex is perfectly placed. So what I'm also doing is keeping an eye out for any dips in my nail. So if I can see anything really clear to me while I'm doing the actual initial application, I will go in with another small bead and amend that and make sure it's all absolutely fine. So what I'm also making sure that I'm doing is leveling out the sides, so it means that when you come to filing later, you have very minimal filing to do on the sides of your nails. Now what I'm going to do is add strength to my nail right at the ends, because basically with the initial filing I took so much away of the actual bulk that we need to reapply that strength back in the nail, and also it helps me level out this nail because it did not look right from the beginning. So now I'm going to go ahead and start debulking my thumb. So this is basically the only really big bit of filing I have to do in terms of with my e-file, and this was just because of the catastrophe that we had right at the beginning. And this is literally just to level out the main bulk of the nail and just make it as smooth as possible, really. So the thing I love most about this nail drill bit is the fact that you can get so close to your cuticle, and well, I say cuticle with your nail fold, without causing any issues whatsoever. So now what I'm going to do is go in with a 180 nail file, and this is just to smooth over all of those ridges and make it a really smooth nail ready for the application of gel. So one really important tip that you can do and must do with your nail files really is exactly this. So take another nail file and just go along the edges of the nail file that you're going to use. This will mean that you are taking away any rough edges, and subsequently means that you are not going to cut your client or yourself. So for the most part, I'm not going to use the nail drill. It isn't really needed. And if you get the right application initially, there will barely need any filing at all. So I'm basically just going to use a nail file for this. It means I can get the rounded edges, and sometimes I find when using an e-file I take a little bit too much away, and I know that just comes down to practice and everything like that, but I just feel like with a nail file you can actually get a little bit more precision. Because I'm getting used to the cameras and like where to do hand placement, etc, etc, these next clips, I basically have had to speed up because you literally cannot see my hands, so just bear with. But essentially what I'm doing is just going over it like I said before, and just making sure that I've got a really nice smooth surface. I am paying attention to the cuticle, so going around with the file at a slight angle and making sure that I'm debulking around the cuticle area, just so that we can get a nice crisp application. So what I am doing now is taking my nail file and shaping the sides to make sure that they are all level and just straight. So when you are filing the sides, the reason why I said before about filing your nail file, as weird as that sounds, is because with this part you are not going to cut your client. So as you can see here, I am going very, very close to the cuticle area or the nail fold area, and just making sure, like I said before, that all of the bulk is filed down. So just going to clear all of the dust away again and use my cleaner. By the way, all links are going to be down below for all the projects that I use, so don't worry. But I just find, again, like this method just clears so much dust from all in those little tiny crevices that a standard brush would not get rid of, and especially with cleaner as well. So I can see that by clearing my nails that I still need that little bit of a file on my index finger, and this is just where you could see that just ever so slight line. So I'm just going to go over that and make sure it's all smooth. But in terms of the actual application itself, I was really impressed with it, and yeah, I think we're pretty much ready to go ahead with the actual design now. So part of this design, I decided that the thumb and ring finger were going to be in a foil. They are two different foils. The thumb was done from Amazon foils and the ring finger was done from Shein. I've used the Amazon foils for like ages, but the Shein one I had a little bit more difficulty with, which you will see. But for now, what I'm going to do is apply a very thin layer of Nails transfer foil glue base coat. And what you're going to do is then nuke it for 60 seconds. So then what you're going to do is take your foil and literally just lay it on the finger and give it a good rub. These did come in a very long length, so I have cut this down so it kind of fits my thumb a little bit more. I find that having a very long sheet just ends up being a catastrophe, so cutting it to size definitely makes it easier. And the only trouble I had with this one was that I had to do it a couple of times to make a good crisp layer. You will see in a moment as to why and what I mean, but it is literally just as simple as placing it on, giving it a good scrape, not too hard, but not too soft, and it will just come off straight away. I have to say that the one thing I'm learning as a training nail tech is that you have to have a lot of patience, and that not everything is going to work first time. I have done nail foils many times before, not just on myself but on clients as well, And sometimes it's just a touch and go. It is a wing it and fix it later. So as you can see, it, for whatever reason, the foil doesn't want to actually adhere to my nail, and it's very blotchy and it's just not looking great. So what I go and do is then add another layer and then basically repeat the process. I'm not going to show you that because you can basically see how I've done the nail myself. But what I am going to do is top coat it to make sure that I'm not going to scrape any of it off. So as you can see, it did work out in the end. It did take about 3 layers to get it to this point, but we were there nonetheless. And to be honest, I am absolutely in love with how shiny this layer is and just overall how beautiful. So let me know what you think already. I just was so amazed by that layer. So we're now going to go on to the ring finger. This one is with the Shein transfer foil. I had a lot more trouble with this one. And to be honest, would I use it again? Maybe not. I may possibly use a thicker layer of transfer gel. We did get there in the end, but it did take a lot of rubbing and persistence to essentially get it to stick and actually come off the initial foil in general. And you'll see what I mean anyway. But again, applying the glue and nuking it for 60 seconds and then basically repeating the same process as the thumb. So what I'm going to do now is just clear up any parts that have been stuck on my skin. As you can see, it actually transferred quite well in the end. And what I found was that by putting the nail into the lamp with the foil on top and then rubbing again onto my nail, it actually came off a lot easier than I thought. So next time if I was to do this foil again, I probably would nuke it again and then rub the foil onto my nail and then top coat as I am now. So before I put that finger into my lamp, what I'm going to do is just apply a base coat onto all the other fingers that are left. I find that applying a base coat before your gel works out better. I have done it without before and gone straight with gel on top without a base coat, and it has literally just peeled off in the next couple of days. So while I was waiting for my hand to cure in the lamp, I put these colours on my palette ready to use for my other nails. So what I've done is just blended these together so that basically they're not so clunky when it comes to applying to the nail, and they kind of just blend together really. Taking a squared brush, all that I'm going to do is literally just scrape through, and what it does is it just picks up all that colour onto your brush and you will see the amazing effect that it does. This first attempt kind of didn't go as well as I thought, but as soon as I pick up that blue and put that dark blue in there, it just comes alive and it just literally looks like a sea/marbly effect, and I absolutely adore it. You don't want to blend too much of this in, because if you do too much blending, it will become one whole colour. So if you want a little bit more of a darker shade, for example here, I am just applying that darker shade where I want it to. And then obviously if I need lighter, I will pick up a little bit more of the white and the lighter blue, and then obviously add that where I feel necessary. So as you can see here, I've picked up some more white and I'm just blending that in ever so slightly with that dark blue shade to not make it such a bulky colour. I'm going to do this across the remaining 2 fingers in completely different designs. So the middle finger will be just going straight across the nail at an angle, and then the pinky, I'm going to do a full nail in that marble. And then what I'm going to do towards the end is add a bit of gold, and that's gold leaf, just to, I don't know, just add that little bit more of an expensive sort of taste to it. And personally, you just cannot go wrong with gold leaf. I absolutely love it, and if I can apply it to every single nail, I will. So when I'm happy with the design, what I've gone and done is put it in the lamp again for 60 seconds. And what I'm doing here is applying some of that transfer glue, which will again be put in the lamp for probably about 30 seconds this time rather than 60. And that just means that the transfer foil of the gold will stick on it really well. So then what I'll end up doing is applying the gold foil where I can. Obviously on my pinky finger I kind of wanted to do a sort of scrape through gold design, which you'll see me do further on in this video. But when I'm happy with my gold placement, again I'm going to nuke it for like 30 seconds and then apply a top coat, and then you're all done. And last but not least, we are applying that top coat to finish off the whole design. Honestly, I am so impressed with this design. It is probably one of the best ones I've done so far, and one of the most complicated designs ever that I've done, to be honest. I'm very, very happy with the way it came out. I probably wouldn't have done my ring finger with the foil. I maybe would have done another design with the marble sort of effect. But to be honest, it's something that you can learn from, and something I will probably do again later on down the line. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please don't forget to give it a like, comment and subscribe. It would be lovely to see you back here, and also let me know if you would have done anything differently, or if there's any tips that you can provide me with. But yeah, I'll just be interested to see your thoughts. I hope you like it, and here is the end result.